I'm going to be presenting Pear Deck to you today. There's really a lot you can do with it, so I'm hoping I can do it justice in a short time. At its most basic level, a Pear Deck is an add-on for PowerPoint or Google Slides that allows you to take a traditional slide presentation, even one you've used for years, into an interactive and engaging lesson. Pear Deck actually calls it social learning. And by that, what we mean is students are going to be able to write on the slides. They're going to be able to type in responses. They're going to be able to draw. So it's very hands-on experience, but allows you as the teacher to see what they are writing and allows you to instantly kind of maybe change the direction of your lesson based on what you're seeing students respond. You can also share students' responses with each other in real time because you can do this as a teacher-directed lesson. It is also capable of being an activity where students go through it at their own pace. And you can share things later on. It could also be used as an assessment tool as well. But I feel where its uniqueness comes into play is that social learning aspect of it. Because of that, it kind of hits some of our process standards, help students kind of construct arguments because they know they're going to have to maybe share what they're putting together. And it's going to help them critique the reasoning of others when they start seeing how other people responded. This is not a program that is specific to math. So in that, what math standards it's going to address is really going to be up to you as a teacher and your subject area. It's going to enhance what you currently do, but it isn't going to provide the content for you. It does have some templates. This is one of the templates I chose, and this is one of the few math templates that they have. And it kind of does have some graphing capabilities for you, some number lines that are already created, some options where you can compare things, what doesn't belong. But in some ways, it's a little bit limited in terms of what they provide you. So it's really taking your own content and adding that interactive nature to it. So while I think it has a lot of benefits in its flexibility, it doesn't add to maybe some things that you feel already are lacking about math in Google. So for me, the idea that it doesn't have a good way to type equations unless you have an add-on, that's a drawback for Google. But my school is a Google school, and we're wanting to do as much as we can in Google Slides. So I'm trying to get used to it. However, our school tends to block the add-ons for equation editors every once in a while. They did this on Friday, so I have no way of typing equations with extra symbols right now. We just have to get them to unlock it. It happens randomly. We don't know why. So in that respect, I like PowerPoint better. So this could be used with PowerPoint as well. So it's not going to fill in some of the math issues that already exist with Google. So what you do with the Pear Deck, I want to call it Pear Deck because it is so interactive, and calling it a fruit isn't intuitive for me. So once you add your add-in to your toolbar, what I have is I can open the add-on on the side, or you have this little button up here, and it opens a whole new menu to your right. What this is going to do is it's going to allow me to either insert a new slide, something that's been pre-made. I can do that anywhere. So maybe I want to add a bell ringer. I can go in here. I can choose bell ringers, end of lesson, other types of options. You can explore specific content slides. And it's going to create an interactive slide. So maybe let's talk about last night's homework before we get started. What did you think? What did you learn last night? And for students, what they're going to see is it says write your response, and they'll have a box where they can type their response in. Other than this little interactive piece at the bottom that I will see on each slide where I have added an action to, I won't get to see what it actually looks like for the students until we go into presentation mode. So I'm going to get to that in just a minute. So once I've got the slides, I can go into any other slide I have. And there's a bunch of tools down here that are going to allow me to add that interaction that I want. So maybe on a geometry slide here, I want students to think about what they know, but I want them to just be able to draw it so they can say specifically, oh, wait, I know the area of this shape. Or I think I might be able to determine that we don't have enough information to say anything other than this is a quadrilateral or whatever they may think. So I can just click on the draw tool, and this is how easy it is. And when I do that, it automatically adds that interactive question. I don't have to do anything else, and I'm done. I had already added it to this slide, so you didn't see anything change, but for every slide you do something new, it will change this here. If I would decide to change this to a text one where they would type out their answers, it would change the instructions down here for me automatically, which I think is a really nice option. I can do multiple choice, as you can see I've done on this slide here. I can ask students to type in a number with a slide, maybe just quickly, what is the slope of a horizontal line? So I can do that right here with this option. And so they see that instruction. One of the cool things I think you can do is you can add a website. So, hey, let's explore Desmos together. I can use a GeoGebra file. I can use an article I want them to read, and it will take them directly to it. They don't have to take time to find it, enter a website. It will be embedded. And so we can play around and kind of explore quadratics together. Another tool you find interesting is this draggable tool. It will take something like this, which one of these doesn't belong, and they will drag a dot to the one that they don't feel belongs. And that allows you to kind of see what all students are thinking, and then have them maybe talk about why they are thinking what they are, and they can see the responses of their fellow students. If this is something you're going to want to do more individually, you can add audio to the slides so that you can give students a little bit more direction and maybe free up some misconceptions that you think they might have with the material so they don't feel quite on their own. When you are ready to present it, you will come up here and you will publish your lesson that will go to Google Classroom. I like the option that you can require students to log in so that you can see exactly who is on your presentation. This will also give you some options for sharing this presentation with them at the end. It's called a takeaway, so that they will be able to see all of their responses and any feedback that you decide to add to the presentation. So it's more than just notes. It is that interactive aspect, which is also why it could be used in assessment and holding students accountable for participation in the activity. Okay. So I'm going to click on Start the Lesson. I think its ease of use is one of its big benefits. It doesn't take long to add those pieces to your slide, but yet you really have done a lot of enhancement in that short time. I can choose now if I want it to be student or instructor paced. I can change this throughout the lesson, but what I'm really doing is I am publishing it. So this is only accessible to students when it is live. So I like to do Zooming with my students. So I'm going to do instructor paced. Another aspect of this that I struggle with is that it does ask you, and you see when this launches, to open up a second device so that you can see your teacher dashboard, you can see what's being presented to students, and then if you want to see what the students are actually seeing and typing, you have to open up even another tab. So that's a major drawback for me, that it expects you to rely on a second one. I feel like there should be a better way to embed things within the program so that teachers don't have to juggle nearly as much. So if I want to join this so I can show you the student side, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to join my own presentation. And then that will open up what the students are seeing. So it'll ask students what they're feeling. They can say they're feeling great, move on. I've got over here my student thing with my teacher presentation here. See if I can show you both at the same time. Okay. So what you'll notice is you have to be very careful that you're on the front slide, because this just popped up the last thing I showed you. So a little bit of a drawback is that it doesn't automatically go to the beginning when it's starting a presentation. As I click over here on the teacher slides, it's automatically going to put the student slides at that position. So I can encourage students at a certain pace. And this is kind of what you're going to see with students. When I click on an option, they're going to see, well, make it big enough, okay, where they're going to answer the question down here. And they're going to type their answer in the box, okay? But they can go back and they can show the question if they want. Now, if I have this big enough, they'll be able to type their answer out to the side. So this is why it's hard for a teacher to be able to balance both things. Okay. If I come down here and switch tools, and I want to go to the one where I wanted them to draw, they're going to have an option where they can choose a different size. They can choose a color, And maybe they say, oh, I think those must be congruent. And you'll notice I will see them having marked those over here on my slide. I have the option of looking at all students in a list, in a grid lot layout, or some, like I said, some slides like the drag, I might want to overlay all the students' options on one slide. Okay? Well, what's good about this is then we can have a discussion as to why did you think that? Well, why is it true? Why might it not be true? So they have to construct those arguments and kind of defend themselves. And we can definitely be more interactive with the lesson rather than me just leading them to a conclusion. Okay. When multiple choice ones are nice because as a student comes over here and chooses their option, I get a quick response. And so that helps me gauge if all students are on the same page. Then we can talk about, all right, I see some of you picked D, some of you picked E. Why do we think the answer is what it is? So the discussion it allows and kind of naturally leads to is a huge benefit of the program. I'm going to go down and skip down to some of these where you're just going to write. Again, the tools change as they go. And I can see every student and what they're doing, so I can see how engaged they are with the lesson over here to the right. With a problem like this, if I feel like students are struggling, I can switch over, turn on student paced so that they can have a little bit more time and kind of go at their own for a little bit, but I don't want to hold up students that may be doing well. But then I can also come back together. If I want to stop and have a discussion and I feel like some students are just doodling and drawing smiley faces on their picture, whatever else on there, I can lock their screens so that then if you notice the student can't do anything. They want to, but it won't allow them. And that'll allow us to make sure we're all together. I can unlock it when I'm ready. I can do it in a certain amount of time, or I can just go ahead and unlock it immediately. If I want to show students what other students have done, I can show responses, and this is either overlaying or in a list. I might want to do something like that on one of these lessons where I say, which of these doesn't belong? And I want students to come over here and drag the dot. And then I can show students, okay, most of you thought it was the bottom left, but a few of you thought it was the top right. Why do we think this? So that adds a little bit more to the lesson as well. If I get partway through and I realize I don't have a bell ringer and I think one might be beneficial, or I need students to respond a little different because maybe the way the discussion is going, I can actually add a new prompt and add a new slide right here. Okay? And picking any choices that I want. So that allows some enhancement of the lesson if you feel like it's getting more in depth than you originally thought it might go, which is great. And then down here at the bottom, this is my favorite slide. Maybe after you've had them draw their own graph and kind of explore what something looks like if it's not linear and they've drawn something random, then you can have them go in and let's look at a Desmos option. And this is what I mean by it embeds it. It's right here on their slide. They have the question that you're asking them to explore, and I don't have to send them to Desmos. I don't have to give them the address. Boom, it's on their screen. And this would work with any website you want to embed. So big time saver as well. When I finish with students, I just click on End Presentation. This will close it for every student, so you want to make sure they're done. And I can name it. And then Publish Takeaways is how every student will get a copy of their responses and the notes. And after you're done, you can go back in and you can add your own comments to their presentations. And then it will publish it to Google Classroom once you select which class you want to publish it to, and you're done. So it allows you to give students feedback so much faster, and they automatically have a copy of the notes rather than sitting there and having students take notes all period, even if you're all together. Students can give you, again, at the end here, an exit ticket is already created for students. Did it go well or did it not? And your session is ended, and you can kind of go back to your presentation. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about it. I feel like in some ways there's so much more that you could do with it when you really get into it because it does have so much flexibility to it. But hopefully this will at least get you started as you explore.